What do you mean? You're searching for your name. Your name, but do not.
Van je kan terug doen naar die feiten. Sal jy my sin gee om my gravel te hou sodat ek kon nie
We shall now have a moment for meditation prayer. Thank you. You may be seated. I can see that members are not comfortable in the surrounding. You better get used to it. It looks much better. So you will be here for some time up until the Ratsal is attended to. Members should ready themselves to have their sitting here. You are welcome, honorable members. Let me just look at our attendance. The premier is not here. Dadesaki Mukwena is not here. Up until he's seated, he's not here. You see, when you come to an arrangement that you do not know, you come earlier. Let me take this opportunity to welcome all of you honorable members, the Premier, in absentia, Deputy Speaker, Honorable Chair of Chairs, the Chief Whip, and the Leader of Government Business, Ndate Makume, and all of you honorable members present here today. In line with the agreement of the Multi-Party Whips Committee, all proceedings shall be suspended until the Honorable MEC for Finance has tabled the 2025-2026 Adjustment Appropriation Bill. This implies that the business for the House today shall be the tabling of the 2025-26 Adjustment Appropriation Bill as required by Section 31, subsection 1 of the Public Finance Management Act, number 1 of 1999, and Rule 184, subsection 1, and 187, subsection 1 of the Standing Rules and Orders, the 10th edition, 2022 of the Free State Legislature. We now proceed to the motions. The Acting Secretary shall read the motion.
That leave be granted for the tabling of the 2025-2026 Adjustment Appropriation Bill, B5 of 2025.
Honourable members, everything that you need for today is in your gadgets, is in your phones. You want it to be digital, so we are baptizing you, honourable members. Thank you. The Honorable MEC for Finance, Ndate Makume.
I move.
Any discussion? None. Any objection? None. Leave granted. The Honorable MEC may table the 2025-2026 Adjustment Appropriation Bill. Welcome back. Welcome back. The honorable member is not late. Something delayed him. The Acting Secretary shall read the bill for the first time.
Adjustment Appropriation Bill, B5 of 2025.
The Honorable MEC may present an introductory speech on the bill.
Speaker, Ndate Mxolisi Dukwana, Honorable Premier in absentia, Melitsua Matai, members of the Executive Council, members of the Free State Legislature, executive mayors present, mayors and councillors, the Acting Director General of the province, heads of the departments, chief executive officers, and leaders of the public and private institutions. Greetings to the Committee of the Free States, and warmly and comradely greetings. Honorable Speaker, it is an honor to address this August House at a time when our country, and indeed the world, stands at a significant crossroads. The global economy continues to adjust to profound structural shifts. Geopolitical tensions are reshaping sharply changes, and rapid technological advancements are transforming industry at a pace few could have anticipated a decade ago. Meanwhile, communities across our province continue to confront persistent unemployment, rising living costs, and an increasing demand for improved public services. Honorable Speaker, allow me to reflect on the work of one of the most influential scholars in the public finance and governance. Aaron Wilsky, his political philosophy of budgeting resonates strongly with the challenges of our time. In an era characterized by the physical pressures, rising expectations, political polarization, deepening inequality, and governance constraints, Aaron offers both a framework and a cohesion. Aaron reminds us that budgeting is far more than a mechanical exercise. It is not merely a calculation of revenue and expenditure. Rather, it is a democracy in action where power is contested, values are debated, and choices are made under conditions of scarcity. As he aptly noted, a budget is a series of attempts to reconcile unlimited wants with unlimited means. Close quote. From this perspective, budgeting is about power, it is about politics, it is about the clearest expression of what government truly prioritize. Today, we wish to speak about budgeting in the spirit of Aaron, not as a neutral administrative task, but as a deeply political process that shapes the social and economic trajectory of a nation. We do so within the context of our own contemporary realities, how we confront inequalities, how we stimulate growth, how we rebuild trust in public institutions, and how we safeguard public finances while responding to the legitimate needs of our citizens. Amid these realities, one truth remains constant. The physical choices we make today will determine the economic opportunities of tomorrow. It is in this context that we wish to emphasize the importance of maintaining a balanced fiscal stance, one that only stabilizes public finances and reduces fiscal and economic risk, but also supports meaningful economic growth and protects the most vulnerable members of our society. This is more than a financial orientation. It is a statement of provincial intent, a roadmap for resiliency, shared prosperity, and long-term development. The global macroeconomic outlook. Honorable Speaker, the world economy has demonstrated stronger than expected resiliency over the past year, despite continued exposure to significant global shocks. This resiliency is indeed encouraging, yet the global outlook remains challenging and uneven. According to the International Monetary Fund's of 2024 projections, the global GDP growth is expected to moderate from 3.3% in 2024 to 2.8% in 2025, before recovering modestly to 3.0% in 2026. These subdued growth prospects will be felt across all regions, manifesting in slower economic activity, reduced trade flows, and downward pressure on household incomes. This in turn constrains job creation and limits the fiscal space available to governments worldwide, not only here in the country. Honorable Speaker, although inflationary pressures have eased in many countries, inflation remains stubbornly above targeted levels. A troubling development is the increasing adoption of protectionist policies across the globe. These measures continue to sustain inflationary pressures, disrupt supply chains, and delay the full return to price stability. Even as headline inflation is expected to moderate over the medium term, these global developments serve as a critical reminder of the uncertain and constrained international economic environment within which the South African economy, and by extension, our provincial economy, must operate. The South Africa's most urgent and enduring challenge remains the need to accelerate economic growth at a scale capable of creating jobs and reducing poverty. The structural constraints in our economy, combined with persistent unemployment, demand a concerted and a strategic response to stimulate inclusive and sustainable growth. Honorable Speaker, at the same time, we continue to operate within an increasingly difficult and uncertain global environment. The United States of America, our second largest trading partner after China, regrettably persist in threatening punitive sanctions against South Africa. These developments, including the introduction of the new terrible tariffs, pose significant risk to key export-driven sectors of our economy. Of particular concerns are agriculture, automotive manufacturing, and textiles, which play a central role in supporting national output, employment, and competitiveness, while it is noted that approximately 35% of our exports remain exempt from these measures. The overall economic impact is expected to be substantial. It is against this challenging backdrop, Honorable Speaker, that the National Treasury has projected real GDP growth of 1.2% in 2025. This modest focus reflects both the external pressures facing the global economy and the domestic constraints that continue to affect our growth trajectory. Honorable Speaker, in pursuit of stronger and more resilient economic growth, the National Treasury, in partnership with the South African Reserve Bank, has proposed a strategic refinement of our macroeconomic framework. Central to this reform is the recommendation to anchor at 3% within a 1 percentage point tolerance band. The intention behind its target is to sustainably reduce inflation, thereby creating conditions conducive to lower interest rates, but that could also be felt later on in later years. While we acknowledge, Honorable Speaker, that adopting a lower inflation target may introduce short-term fiscal pressures and make the attainment of the certain fiscal objectives more demanding, the long-term benefits far outweigh these transitional costs. Sustained price stability enhances investor confidence, strengthens the resilience of the economy, and contributes to a more favorable environment for long-term planning and development. These reforms, Honorable Speaker, reaffirm our commitment to macroeconomic stability, inclusive growth, and improved socio-economic outcomes for all South Africans. They signal a forward-looking, evidence-based approach to policymaking that prioritizes the best interest of our nation and its people, and our province can't be left out. The Free State economy has shown a degree of resiliency over the past 3 years. However, this resiliency has not translated into the level of growth required to meaningfully reduce the persistently high levels of unemployment and poverty facing our province. Honorable Speaker, the real GDP growth in the Free State was approximately 2.0% in 2022, before declining sharply to a mere 0.2% in 2023. The current projections indicate only a modest recovery, with growth focused on 0.5% in 2024. The subdued performance underscores the fragile nature of our economic recovery. Agricultural, Honorable Speaker, continues to play a critical role in the provincial economy, contributing about 6% of the GDP in 2024. While the sector remains important, our manufacturing industry is facing significant structural and operational challenges, which further constrains the overall economic performance. The services sector, which accounts for approximately 60% of the Free State GDP, continue to expand at a slow pace. This sluggish growth has limited opportunities for inclusive economic participation as one of those goals that we have set ourselves as the 7th administration, resulting in insufficient job creation and rising costs of living for households across the province. Honorable Speaker, of particular concern is the decline in the Free State contribution to national economy. The province share of the national GDP has fallen from 50% in 2021 to 4.8% in 2024, reflecting a gradual erosion of competitiveness relative to faster growing province. Looking ahead, Honorable Speaker, economic prospects for the Free State will depend on decisive interventions. These include improving electricity reliability, strengthening the logistic networks, enhancing municipal governances, accelerating investment across key sectors. Failure to address these constraints and failure to address these constraints with agency will entrench a low growth trajectory, limiting our ability to create jobs and improve living standards for our poor people. Honorable Speaker, I'm pleased to report meaningful progress in advancing good governance, accountability, and sound financial management within the provincial sphere of government. For the second consecutive year, all Public Financial Management all Public Financial Management Act auditees have maintained audit outcomes free from any adverse or disclaimer audit options. The Provincial Treasurer, Provincial Legislature, and the Housing Fund have once again achieved unqualified audit opinions with no findings, commonly referred as clean audits. Honorable Speaker, it is particularly noteworthy that the Department of Economic Development and Tourism has become the first service delivery department in the province to attain a clean audit of the 2024-2025 financial year. This milestone marks a significant step forward in strengthening administrative integrity and performance in departments that directly impact our citizens and our society. In addition, our two trading entities, the Fleet Management and the MedPass, which previously received qualified audit opinions, have shown commendable improvements by securing unqualified reports or audit opinions with findings. Importantly, there were no regression whatsoever in the audit outcomes compared to the previous financial year, demonstrating growing stability and discipline in the financial management across government institutions. Furthermore, honorable members, 9 departments and 2 public entities achieve unqualified opinions on the reliability and usefulness of their predetermined objectives. This represents an 83% improvement from the previous year, when only 5 departments and 1 entity reached this standard. Colleagues, just give yourself a round of applause. These results reflect enhanced performance management, improved planning, and a more consistent alignment between strategic objectives and measurable outcomes. Honorable Premier, we remain firmly committed to working closely with the departments, public entities, and training entities to further strengthen governance, compliance, and financial management practices. Our collective objective is to ensure even better audit outcomes in the next financial year, thereby reinforcing the public confidence in our ability to manage resources responsibly and deliver quality services to the people of the Free State. The Department of Public Service and Administration has issued a directive requiring all departments and public entities to conduct institutional headcounts on or before February 2026 and to submit progress reports in this regard. Honorable Speaker, in response to this directive, our provincial departments have already commenced internal headcount verification process aimed at addressing the long-standing risk associated with the so-called ghost workers. This exercise is essentially for strengthening the integrity of our personnel records and ensuring that we maintain an accurate and accountable staff establishment. Both the provincial treasurer and the national treasurer, wow, sorry, Premier. Sorry. Ale mufense. Pena sasa na mabili. Fence. Thank you. Both the Treasury, the Provincial Treasury, and the National Treasury remain committed to supporting departments as they implement these headcount processes. This initiative is a critical component of aligning composition of employees' budgets with the approved personnel structure thereby ensuring that workforce planning, budgeting, and decision-making are based on accurate, reliable, and favorable data. Honorable Speaker, this is precisely what we have long advocated for. Who is where and where is who? This principle underpins our commitment to transparency, accountability, and prudent management of the public resource. The provincial spending. Honorable members, we are pleased to announce that we have noted some improvements in relation to spending by the departments. As of end of October 2025, the province recorded an expenditure of 27.071 billion. This translates to spending of 59% of the allocated budget of 44.856 billion against the benchmark of 58%. Honorable Speaker, as you may be aware, the budget pressures on compensation of employees are historical and have been exacerbated by the budget cuts and wage agreements. However, we continue with our measures that are meant to curb the growth of salary bill. This includes, among others, control of PESAL activation by the Office of the Provincial Treasurer and the Premier. Honorable members, when we tabled the main budget in May this year, we alluded to the introduction of the early retirement program without penalties for the 2025-2026 and 2026-2027 financial years. It is anticipated that the implementation of this program will yield savings for the province. The underlying principle is that senior officials who are currently earning higher salaries notches will be replaced by a younger generation appointed at an entry-level salary scales. Honorable Speaker, to date we have received 204 applications from various departments, excluding the Department of Education, which is currently in the process of finalizing its list, all of which have been approved by the respective executive authorities. We now await the decision of the National Treasury. Honorable Speaker, infrastructure delivery remains central to stimulating provincial economic growth and the creation of employment opportunities, even to turn your province into a construction site. For this reason, we remain steadfast in our oversight role and demanding the effective and timely delivery of the infrastructure projects. We have also invited the Premier to join us as and when we'll be moving along the whole entire Free State, investigating, monitoring, and ensuring that we check all the projects, whether they are on time, whether they are spending, and whether there are no delays. As at the end of October, provincial spending on the infrastructure amounted to 2.979 billion, representing 57% of the allocated budget of 5.249 billion. Honorable Speaker, in our resolve to strengthen oversight, particularly in respect of conditional grants and infrastructure expenditure, we committed that quarterly performance review meetings will be chaired by the MEC for Finance, Economic Development and Tourism, with departments led by their respective MECs. We are pleased to report that during the first and second quarterly performance review meetings, the MECs attended as agreed, and I really appreciate these MECs from the bottom of my heart. We therefore wish to convey our appreciation to the MECs and their respective officials for responding positively to this important accountability mechanism. And again, we wish to invite the Premier to be part of this meeting in the future to also ensure that she holds us accountable in this commitment, because it's one of the fundamental to strengthening oversight, improving service delivery for the benefit of our communities. Honorable Speaker, the province is currently navigating a challenging fiscal environment. The constraints on the provincial fiscus and the resulting inability to fully accommodate the budgetary pressures experienced by the departments necessitate a more concerted effort toward the mobilization of additional revenue. Notwithstanding these constraints, the province has performed commendably, as at the end of October, revenue collected amounted to 802 million, representing 66% of the projected revenue budget of 1.220 billion. Honorable Speaker, against this background and in recognition of the improved revenue performance, we have resolved to upwardly adjust the in-year revenue estimate of the 43.103 million. Honorable Speaker, kindly allow me to turn to the business of the day, namely the consideration of the 2025-2026 in-year budget adjustment. The adjustment budget is regulated by Section 31 of the Public Finance Management Act and provides for the following amongst others. 1, allocation of the funds which have become available to the province. Roman figure 2, allocation of the approved conditional grant rollovers. Roman figure 3, appropriation of the reprioritization of funds towards key provincial in the year budget pressures. And Roman figure 4, the defilements of budget baselines by departments to address budget pressures and avoid risk of incurring unauthorized expenditures. Our fiscal challenges remain very much before us, and there's no better time than now for us to pull together, exercise discipline, collectively strive for fiscal sustainability. In this regard, we align ourselves with the Honorable Minister of Finance in delivering the 2025 medium-term budget policy statement. The Minister rightly alluded to the difficult trade-offs required to balance fiscal sustainability with our developmental objectives. These trade-offs demand tough choices, but they are necessary to safeguard the long-term stability of our public finances. Honorable Speaker, in the development of the 25-26 adjustment budget, we took careful heed of the Minister's guidance. Our approach has been informed by the need to protect the fiscus, prioritize frontline services, and ensure that limited resources are deployed in a manner that delivers the greatest impact of our people. It is thus within this context that we present the adjustment budget, mindful of the challenges we face, but resolute in our commitment to responsible fiscal management and sustainable development. Honorable Speaker, allow me to briefly touch on the fiscal matters of the 2025 MTBPS that inevitably affect provinces. The stabilization of the debt as a percentage of the GDP remains on course. Thus, in 2025-2026, government debt is projected to decline, stabilize at 77.4% of the GDP. The main budget deficit is also projected to decline over the MTF period ahead. However, what is concerning is that the debt service cost remain high at 1.3 trillion over the next 3 years. The minister indicated that there's a need to address these fiscal imbalances, and thus National Treasury has published a discussion document and consultation with key stakeholders are ongoing. Honorable Speaker, we trust that the results will assist in addressing these challenges and free more resources towards frontline services and economic development. Honorable Speaker, in our 2025 BIP and the PM Tech discussions, the provincial departments presented their respective in-year budget pressures, which total 2 billion rand. We had very open discussion, and everyone understood that the provincial fiscus is very constrained and cannot accommodate this quantum of pressure. I really want to appreciate the understanding by members of the Executive Council, their HODs, and the entire department in relation to this. Honorable Speaker, to address these pressures amid fiscal limitations, we decided on the following. 1, reprioritization of the current budget baselines within and outside of the department's budget baselines on slow spending items. 2, upward adjustments of the 2025-2026 provincial revenue estimates. And 3, consideration of the equitable share rollover request by the departments. Honorable members, the year-in reprioritization of the baseline outside the departments yielded only 6.021 million. The Executive Council approved the equitable share rollover, requesting amount of 53.179 million to 7 departments. Additionally, the province adjusted revenue estimated by 43.301 million, 1 million. Honorable Speaker, our provincial legislature requested that an amount of 6.270 million from its own retained revenue be included in the appropriation bill for spending in the current financial year. As for Christmas, therefore, the provincial available amount for the 2025-2026 adjustment is 108.771 million. Honorable Premier, the province submitted conditional grants rollover request for an amount of 188.787 million to be rolled over into the current financial year. Following consideration, the National Treasury approved a rollover of 183.27 million. Additionally, the National Treasury has allocated 215 million to the province as part of the efforts to cushion the reduction in the equitable share resulting from the technical adjustments to the 2025 MTEF equitable share formula. We also extend our appreciation to the National Treasury for providing additional earmark allocations for the Department of Health and Education. These earmarked allocations amount to a total of 755.065 million. Consequently, the 2025-2026 provincial budget is adjusted upward by 1.256 billion. This upward adjustment is informed by the additional allocation of 1.153 billion and provincial adjustment amounting to 102.750 million. We now turn our attention to the proposed allocation to the various departments. Once again, it is important to emphasize that these allocations were subjected to thorough and rigorous deliberations. This was done to ensure that the resources we are proposing to allocate are fully aligned with the strategic priorities of our province and are directed towards advancing service delivery and improving the lives of our people. The Department of Health. The in-year budget adjustment for the Department of Health amounts to 415.15 million. These funds are apportioned as follows. The 381.895 million has been earmarked for compensation of employees, recruitment of unemployed doctors. Included in these allocations are provisions of goods and services, specifically for procurement of linen and beds, as well as funding to address accruals. The 20.426 million is earmarked for continuation of services that were funded through the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS relief. The 12.838 million relates to approved equitable share rollovers. The Department of Education. The department will receive a total of 476.945 million, which is apportioned as follows. The 303.91 million for compensation of employees and related costs. The 166.825 million allocated through early child development grant to cater for subsidy increases. Subsidy will increase from 17 to 24 for center-based programs and from 6 to 9 rand for non-center-based programs. This allocation is intended to broaden access to early learning opportunities. The 6.201 million, which relates to approved conditional grants, rollover. The Department of Social Development. The department submitted a request for rollover of funds amounting to 9.101 million to address outstanding commitments from the previous financial year. After careful verification of commitment invoices, the Executive Council approved the rollover of 8.902 million. The Department of Sports, Arts, Culture and Recreation. The department is allocated a total of 4.200 million to cater for goods and services, budget pressures, refurbishment of Basotho Cultural Village, as well as address security challenges in various sports centers and libraries. In line with the direction by the Premier, the allocation for security measures is meant to address eminent security concerns. The department will therefore work together with the Department of Community Services, Roads and Transport, as well as Public Works and Infrastructure to find sustainable solutions to the security challenges. The Department of Economic Development and Tourism. The budget is adjusted upward by 7.500 million, which relates to the following: 1.700 million to the Free State Gambling, Liquor and Tourism Authority for the cost of living adjustment, the COLA, as well as the 800,000 towards the implementation of online licensing system. The 5 million for tourism support, township economy, revitalization and SMME support. Honorable Member, it is imperative to remind our citizenry and tourists that the Free State is not a place, or it's not the province to go through, but a province to go to. The Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. The department will receive the 62 million to partially address municipal services in-year budget pressures. We know that this is not enough, but furthermore, the Executive Council approves equitable share rollover of 1.841 million to spend in the current financial year. The approval is based on commitment invoices submitted by the department. In total, the department's budget is adjusted upward by 63.841 million. The budget of the Department of Community Safety, Roads and Transport. The budget is adjusted upward by a total of 166 million. An amount of 7 million included in the allocation is meant to alleviate the budget pressure on compensation of employees. Whilst the remaining 159 million is an approved conditional grant rollover related to Welisizwe Rural Bridges Program. The Department of Human Settlement. The department will receive an allocation of 13 million to address existing budget pressures related to goods and services, thereby ensuring the continuation of effective operations and service delivery. In addition, an amount of 500 million is allocated for the procurement of machinery and equipment, specifically for the replacement of the obsolete old laptops and desktops. This investment will enhance operational efficiency, improve productivity, and support the effective functioning of the department. In total, the department's budget is adjusted upward by 18 million. The Department of Agriculture, Rural Development and Environmental Affairs. Honorable Speaker, in recent months, the province has experienced a serious outbreak of the foot and mouth disease in the Fezile Dabi district, especially in towns neighboring the northwest provinces, and more recently cases have been confirmed in Marquardt and Clockland in the Thabo Mfutsanyane district. In responding to the outbreak, the Executive Council approved a budget allocation of 15 million towards containing the outbreak. The department will further receive an amount of 12.636 million, which relates to approved equitable share rollover request. Lastly, National Treasury approved conditional grants rollover of 18.069 million to spend in the current financial year. In total, the department's budget is adjusted upward by 45.705 million that has been allocated to them. The office of the Premier, or the Department of the Premier. Honorable Speaker, the office of the Premier is allocated 7 million for coordination and of the integrated service delivery programs. Furthermore, the office of the Premier requested a rollover of 3.037 million to address the previous year's commitments. The rollover was approved by the Executive Council based on verified commitment invoices. In total, the department's budget is adjusted upward by 10.037 million. The provincial treasury, an amount of 6.021 million, is reprioritized away from provincial treasury to address other provincial budget pressures. However, the department requested a rollover of 3.053 million, and the request was approved by the Executive Council based on verified commitment invoices. Therefore, in total, the department's budget is adjusted downward by 2.968 million. Remember, this is provincial treasury. Cooperative governance and traditional affairs. The department closed the previous financial year with outstanding commitments. In this regard, the department submitted a request for the rollover of funds to honor these commitments. Consequently, an amount of 10.872 million was approved by the Executive Council based on verified commitment invoices that were duly presented. The provincial legislature, Honorable Speaker, an additional allocation of 13.839 million is allocated to the provincial legislature to cater for constitutional oversight as well as research and evaluation purposes. Furthermore, an amount of 3.026 million is allocated as part of the compensation of employees' direct charges against the Provincial Revenue Fund as per the provisions of the Financial Management of Parliament and Legislature Act. A total of 6.270 million from the retained revenue of the provincial legislature will be included in the appropriation bill for spending in the current financial year. No cash transfer will occur from the Provincial Revenue Fund as the funds are sourced from the retained revenue of the provincial legislature. Therefore, in total, the provincial legislature's budget is adjusted upward by 23.135 million. Honorable Speaker, in the 2026 MTF budget, framework remains constrained, and it is imperative that we make deliberate and strategic decisions to stimulate provincial growth and job creation. For the 2026 MTF period, the provincial equitable share is reduced by 629.798 million due to a downward revision of the Consumer Price Index, the CPI, and recent data updates to the provincial equitable share formula. These figures are preliminary, and we remain hopeful that ongoing engagements between the provincial treasuries and national treasury will result in a more favorable allocations for the provinces. However, we need to prepare ourselves for the worst. The 2026 MTF priorities, Honorable Speaker, on the 22nd October 2025, we convene the annual ESCO Planning and Budget Lekgotla to deliberate on the key priorities of the 7 administration for implementation during the 2026 MTF period. These priorities are aligned to the 2024-2029 Medium-Term Development Plan and include the following: inclusive growth and job creation, reducing poverty and addressing the rising cost of living, building a capable and ethical and developmental state. In February 2026, we will hold the second ESCO Planning and Budget Lekgotla to finalize and verify the alignment of the departmental budgets with these provincial priorities. This platform is essential for ensuring allocative efficiency, particularly crucial in the context of a constrained provincial fiscus. We must ensure that our limited resources deliver meaningful, impactful, and tangible improvements to the socio-economic well-being of our communities. Let us collectively work to place the Free State Province on a path of long-term fiscal sustainability. Together we are strong, and together we can succeed. In conclusion, honorable members, allow me to express my sincere gratitude to the Premier, Ms. Letsoa Matai, for her unwavering support and leadership throughout the preparations of this adjustment budget. You really work wonders. No wonder why you fell. It must be from tiredness. To my esteemed colleagues in the Executive Council, I notice some have arrived late because I've been in calls with them day in and day night. Thank you very much for your dedication and collective commitment. I wish you do this to others in shaping this budget and the vision of the province. Your collaboration is appreciated. You'll remember some ke le latile le dikantorong le ituletse fela ke kena ska lehlanya. Ke kopa gore le mpe le dumele diphetogo tsena tse re di entseng kajeno. My appreciation is also extended to the Speaker of the Legislature, although he was more of a difficult person, but ra leboha modulasetulo wa ntlo enana o re thusitse nnete go tshela moedi. I know it is not much that we have given to, but at least we have tried our best with your help. And thanks to the members from all the committees, members, also individuals who were making calls about the rigorous oversight that they want to do, which continue to strengthen our government in our province. Thanks very much. We really take oversight as a cornerstone of democracy. Accountability as one of the area or a means to use to ensure that we account. Thanks very much, Legislature. To the Acting Director General, the heads of the departments, the accounting officers of the public institution, thank you so much for your diligence and immense effort invested in the development of this budget. I also extend my gratitude to the Provincial Treasury team under the leadership of the acting HOD for their professionalism and hard work, but for making the budget to be so simply understood by myself and many members here in the House. Thanks very much. To my family, your unwavering support sustains me and I remain deeply grateful. To the people of the Free State Province, thank you for your continued trust and support. We are trying our best to serve you and thanks for your patience. May God bless all of you. We are on a road to win this fight. We will not lose. Honorable Speaker, I hereby table the 2025-2026 adjusted appropriation bill. Gracias. Thank you.
What does the Honorable MEC propose?
What? That the bill be referred to the Portfolio Committee on Public Accounts and Finance, as well as the Budget and Oversight Committee.
Any discussion?
None. None.
Any objection? Approved. The bill stands referred to the Portfolio Committee on Public Accounts and Finance, as well as the Budget and Oversight Committee for consideration and report back to the House. The Public Accounts and Finance Committee will commence with the consideration of the bill today at 12 o'clock, and departments are requested to honor the invitation to enable the House to pass the bill as per the program. Honorable members, this Dangola, Emba, Gibona, una injury at work. Me, it's our primary, Fitleganako, Potata, or reporting, Mare, it's a bonita baori, ask all a fitalat. They are reporting. Honourable members, this brings us to the end of business of the House today. The House shall now adjourn until the 11th of December 2025 for the consideration of the second and the third reading of the appropriation bill and other business of the House. The House is adjourned.